Good evening, and welcome to Pynchon Pals, a podcast about finally reading Thomas Pynchon. My name is Patrick Fiorilli, and I'm joined, as always, by Andrew Tillett.
Good afternoon, everybody.
And Duri Long.
Hello, hello.
Up at the top, we'd like to thank our supporters at patreon.com/PynchonPals, where you can sign up for $5 a month to hear exclusive bonus episodes. And I want to make it clear, because Andrew reminded me to say this last time, you can go back and listen to all the bonus episodes, the whole archive. There's not so many right now, but you do get them all, not just the latest one.
But there's a few.
Yeah, there's a few. Our most recent one from last month was Tamala 2010, Punk Cat in Space. And our upcoming episode, as you will have seen in the show notes from last time, is like a smattering of V2 rocket related documentaries.
Yeah,
Andrew, do you want to,
if you will? I don't have the names of them off the top of my head. Actually, I've got two of the names of them off the top of my head.
The first one is Hitler's Secret Weapon, the V2 rocket at Peenemünde from 1977.
Yes, this one is a they're all documentaries. It was produced by like PBS and Boston Public Access or something, and it does feature several interviews with former V2 engineers, like including Von Braun. So that should be interesting. And then
primary
we're also
sources.
Primary sources. And then we'll also be watching the Smithsonian Channel's V2 Nazi rocket, which is sort of your more classic mid-2000s World War II weapons tech documentary, full of fun dramatizations. And then we're also watching...
I'll just add on that one, it is also in some places released as Hitler's Space Rocket. It seems like it might have been a co-production with like a German studio maybe, or has a couple different versions that are floating around the internet. We have linked to one that is on YouTube. We might be watching one on a different streaming service that seems to be cut a little bit differently, but like the reenactments and all the seem basically the same, and the interviews seem like they might just be in a different order. But we've got links to these in the show notes, including one at archive.org for the one from the 70s. But this one's from 2016. And then lastly, Andrew.
Lastly is it's about a 20-minute long video made by the U.S. military. Patrick, you were the one who found this one about
when I was Googling
V2 rocket testing that they were doing, I guess, post-war.
When I was trying to find these other documentaries online, I found this one just kind of lurking on YouTube. It's from 1947, and it's basically about assembling and launching V2 rockets made by the I guess the Department of Defense / Department of War. I guess it might have been the Department of War back then. Jury's out on whether it's currently the Department of War or not, I guess. But it is like teaching soldiers, like made for soldiers and engineers working on the rockets, is like, remember these things from the war? Well, now we know how to put them together, and we're doing all sorts of exciting tests for our national defense system. So I thought that would just be an interesting insight into like precisely the kind of co-opting of the V2 technology that we might, I don't know if we're getting there by the end of this book or not, but it's implied. So yes, we will be watching those for this month's Q&A. They usually arrive sort of towards the end of the month, not on an extremely strict schedule on the Patreon. Yeah. Well, so if you subscribe for $5 a month, you can listen to us talk about those things, or just watch them in your own free time and not listen to us talk about them. But
you should really listen to us talk about them.
Why would you not want to hear us?
Look, I've talked to a lot of my civilian friends, or I've attempted to, about Pynchon in the last couple of months, and it's not going to go. You need to talk to us if you want to talk to someone.
Yeah, speaking of which, actually, speaking of finding these films elsewhere, I'm going to send out an open call. We did receive a message on Patreon from a listener who was asking where to find like a legitimate stream of Tamala 2010 in the UK. So if you know where to find this movie, I guess maybe it's not available internationally on Amazon or the Criterion. I don't even know if the Criterion channel is available internationally, but if you know where to find it, post it in the comments on some podcast platform where people might check and help our listeners, our patrons in the UK, find their way to our very special space cat friend. On tonight's episode, putting aside all this Patreon business, we'll be discussing episodes 2.1 and 2.2 of Thomas Pynchon's Gravity's Rainbow, a book we are all reading for the very first time. And boy, I feel like we're back. Does it feel like we're back to anyone else?
I have never had this. I enjoyed reading these two sections so much compared to all of the other sections and lots of the other sections, not all of them. Lots of the other sections have been very good, but I just felt at home. I curled up with a blanket. I chuckled. It was just such a nice Thomas Pynchon time that I had on the evening I read this.
Full of mirth and paranoia.
I feel if I were the editor, I maybe would have suggested that Thomas Pynchon make the toilet segment a little bit more like this section. But
I thought you were about to say if you were the editor, you would have encouraged Thomas Pynchon to maybe start with this section and be like, now
maybe
Tom.
So. Just like this was a better time with Tyrone Slothrop than Slothrop. I still don't have it.
Yeah.
It was Winthrop. A better time with Slothrop than the
Kenosha
toilet
kid.
time.
Yeah.
The Kenosha kid.
I've gotten some inklings, let's say. A thing I don't love about the Weisenberger Companion, and J. Cary Grant, author of the previous two companions, was not so as bad about this, but Weisenberger occasionally has will gesture towards things that happen in the future, and maybe this is kind of like a meta commentary example on cause and effect being a little estranged in the book as a whole, but like, suffice it to say, I don't think we're done with toilet and its related functions in this book. So we'll see. We'll see when we get there. Maybe some of our listeners are chuckling to themselves at this very moment.
What did you all think of what is it called? The epithet?
Nope. Different epi.
Nope. Epitaph? No, that's
that's on the grave sites. Epigram. No. Epigram.
Epigraph?
Epigram? Epigraph.
Epigraph.
What's an epigram? No, EpiPens are very important. EpiPens are very important, but for different reasons. Is an epigram like a saying? Yeah, epigram is a brief, interesting, memorable, sometimes surprising or satirical statement, which is not this. This is, in fact, an epigraph.
Okay, what did you all think of the epigraph?
Yeah, you want to talk about it in conjunction with the title?
Yes, I'm not going to pronounce the title well, but Un Permau Casino Hermann Göring. And the epigraph is, you will have the tallest, darkest leading man in Hollywood, Marion C. Cooper to Fay Ray. I will throw out that I just recently watched the movie Nuremberg, which I think I have mentioned on the pod before, and I feel like...
If Duri goes one episode without mentioning Nuremberg...
While it was not that great of a movie, but I do feel like it gave me some important context on who Hermann Göring was, for those that may be less well-versed in the upper echelons of the Nazi party.
Yeah, who was Hermann Göring?
He was like third in command, basically. It was like Hitler and then that other guy. and then Hermann Göring. Anyone remember the other guy's name?
Himmler.
Himmler?
Himmler. Thank you. I should have remembered that from the song. Himmler has only got one.
What song?
Himmler's very similar.
Oh wait,
The one
this
from the last book.
Hitler has
Yeah,
only got one ball.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not the like common tune. The like.
Yeah, I was like, there's a song. I was thinking the
Yeah, they sang it at the start
uh,
of every class day in Nazi Germany.
I was like, is there like who are the Animaniacs? I was like, is there an Animaniacs about the Nazi leadership that I've forgotten?
If there is one of those, it will be in a Thomas Pynchon novel.
And I believe Goering was head of the Air Force. Yeah, Patrick.
Yes, I believe that's right.
And if the portrayal in the Nuremberg trials, the movie Nuremberg, about the Nuremberg trials, if the portrayal was at all accurate, it seemed like Goering sort of like was not, how do I put this? He like oversaw things, but then sort of tried to like cleanse himself from like, oh, I wasn't really involved in that whole like concentration camp thing. But did in fact sign off on that whole concentration camp thing, but was more involved in like the military operations and his day-to-day duties, it seems.
Seems like classic Nazi that didn't have the guts to kill themselves when they were about to get caught. Had to do
he did
Oh,
kill
but he did
himself.
eventually kill himself.
Well,
Yeah.
he
Before
wouldn't have
the
to do that
trial.
expunging if he'd been quick about it.
Yeah, Wikipedia says he ingested cyanide the night before his scheduled execution,
As depicted in the movie Nuremberg.
which is not our upcoming Patreon.
No, and like
watch
probably
episode,
doesn't need to be, but
but is out there.
You'll get all of Duri's thoughts on Nuremberg for free over the next couple of episodes. You don't need to pay.
it
You
is
can't pay
oddly like
wallet.
themes are just kind of like oddly relevant to this book, but anyways.
The Pynchon wiki says that the title "Un Perm au Casino Hermann Göring" it literally means a furlough at the Hermann Göring Casino. The second part of that is fairly obvious. But it does mention that since the French noun permission, of which perm is an abbreviated form, is feminine, it should be un perm, not un perm. So
I didn't even pronounce it correctly as it is written. So
it's kind of a tongue twister. I mean, I'm not a native French speaker or anything, or very much of a French speaker at all, but it's a lot of noises to put together. And it's also partly in German by virtue of the name Hermann Göring. So
Half the syllables are in German.
yeah.
but my question was really about the epigraph.
The epigraph, yes. Do we know, I know, because I've looked it up, who MC Cooper is talking about?
I don't know who the tallest, darkest leading man is, but I did look up. I think Fay Wray has come up before in this book as like kind of the first Scream Queen and like star of King Kong, which was directed by Marion C. Cooper.
So who might the tallest, darkest leading man in
Oh, is
Hollywood
it King
be?
Kong?
Uh-huh.
Oh, wow. I could have put that together.
This is an anecdote that that the Weisenberger companion reproduces for us.
Thoughts coming together in real time here.
Yeah,
folks.
from Fay Wray's story. Basically, she says, you will have this is from a New York Times feature from 1969, How Fay Met Kong, or The Scream That Shook the World. She says, you will have the tallest, darkest leading man in Hollywood. Those were the first words I heard about King Kong. Although I knew the producer, Marion C. Cooper, was something of a practical joker, my thoughts rushed hopefully to the image of Clark Gable. Cooper, pacing up and down in his office, outlined the story to me about an expedition to some remote island where a discovery of gigantic proportions would be made. My heart raced along, waiting for the revelation. I enjoyed his mysterious tone, the gleeful look in his eyes that seemed to say, just wait until you hear who will be playing opposite you. Cooper paused, picked up some pocket-sized sketches, then showed me my tall, dark leading man. My heart stopped, then sank. An absolutely enormous gorilla was staring at me.
Hard to wrap your head around a world where people don't know who King Kong is. But someone was shocked by King Kong on his first appearance.
Wild. What does King Kong have to do with this book?
I don't know.
There's a giant animal in this.
Yeah, there is. I was thinking about
pages.
Grigori. I was thinking about him.
Yeah, I mean, my interpretation of this title thus far, and I don't know to what extent this is going to wrap back around to some like themes we're engaging with specifically in this section. But obviously the first part of the book was very much about racial anxiety and stoking racial anxiety, and also like individuals who were like effectively masking themselves in different racial characteristics. Like Slothrop is inhabiting in the Kenosha Kid this like predominantly black dance club. There's the kid who can change his skin color, and in this quote we have like Fay Wray thinking that she's getting like Clark Gable, who, you know, going back to what's it called, Gone with the Wind, where he kind of plays like a roguish, somewhat ethnically ambiguous, like dashing, still white male archetype, you know, the archetypal tall, dark, and handsome. And like you add on to that the association of apeness, or the gorilla association, and I think something seems like it's being done here with that, but exactly what and how it relates to this chapter, I don't know.
I think I'm looking back at the quote that we have to begin the first book, which was a von Braun quote about the afterlife and its existence. And it does strike me as perhaps an example of Pynchon humor to go from a von Braun quote, especially with some of the sort of dark and like anxious themes of the first section, to then have a quote that is about King Kong to start section 2. And I mean, at least the first 2 sections have been very funny and have this sort of slapstick comedy aspect to them. So it'll be interesting. I mean, we have a lot more to go in this second book, but right now it sort of signaling, I think, it is also signaling a tonal shift.
Funny, but also like a little scary. Like I feel like there's been some horror elements in these first 2 chapters, and I feel like I actually haven't seen the original King Kong movie, but I feel like there's some horror elements going on there as well. Yeah? No?
Yeah.
King Kong, I guess, is scary.
I think so.
How many King Kong movies had come out by the time Gravity's Rainbow came out?
By the time it came out, or by the time it takes place? Because probably several for both.
Yeah, I guess. Well, I guess it could be
King Kong, 1933. King Kong. Son of Kong, later in 1933. That was it as far as films are concerned until 1962's King Kong versus Godzilla, which is a different vibe.
Yeah, I guess.
There's a remake in the 70s that famously has a poster, or infamously, I guess, has a poster of King Kong straddling the Twin Towers in New York City instead of the Empire State Building.
Brutal. Okay, so yeah, I guess, I mean, most of the zeitgeist about King Kong then would be just from this first movie.
Yeah.
I mean, unless you're a big Tojo fan. Tojo? No. Who makes Godzilla?
Toho.
Yeah, Tojo is someone else.
You're adding like a Spanish J onto the pronunciation. Yeah, Toho.
Patrick, it wasn't just a pronunciation issue of Toho and Tojo. Tojo was the head of the Japanese military during World War II.
Wow, how Freudian or Pavlovian?
Gregorian. Do we want to get past the first page now?
Yeah, let's get past the first page. I was just also thinking,
I
was suddenly thinking of the giant adenoid monster. Like,
oh yeah,
there are big sort of sci-fi giant monsters throughout this book thus far.
That's true.
Let's see. Here's a summary of sequence 2.1. Out of the frying pan and into the seaside sabbatical, Slothrop and his Achtung colleague Tantavi Mucker Maffick and Prentice's man Teddy Bloat are in the French Riviera, where they've been put up in the Casino Hermann Göring, so named by German occupiers only recently expelled. Slothrop wears a really cool Hawaiian shirt his brother Hogan sent him. Picnicking with some showgirls on the beach, the blokes save an onlooking Katya, surname Borgesius, from a giant octopus. A little too easily, Slothrop thinks, beginning a slow descent into paranoia. One of the girls, she's Len, calls Slothrop Little Tyrone and warns him to be careful.
I could see both of you enjoying Slothrop's Hawaiian shirt.
I think everybody enjoys Slothrop's
to work every Friday, Duri. That it's not too cold to wear a short sleeve shirt.
And how often do you wear Hawaiian shirts, Patrick?
At a certain time of year, every day. We're not quite there yet in Chicago, but we're getting there.
I myself even own a Hawaiian shirt or two.
Nothing made me happier than when it clicked that he was wearing a Hawaiian shirt, and that's what the English guys were upset about. And I was just every description. I like that the shirt. I don't know if the shirt necessarily changes pattern every time it's mentioned, but it certainly has every pattern that has ever been on a Hawaiian shirt.
He has a tie at one point, I think. When he's going out to dinner, he puts on a like an aloha pattern tie in addition to the shirt, but the shirt is the star of the show.
And what a fall from his sort of like individuality and personality of the shirt that he has at the end of the second section.
Yeah, we got to get there when we get there.
We'll get there when we get there, but there's I feel like his clothing indicates what's taken place.
I think you're right. This sequence both opens and closes with birds.
The seagulls. This reminded me of one of my favorite books, Jonathan Livingston's Seagull. It's about a seagull named Jonathan.
I've never read it.
You haven't?
You read Many More Children, or you remember
more. It's not
more
a children's book.
It's not?
It's an adult book about a seagull named Jonathan.
It's an adult book?
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was like a sort of slim volume.
It's a slim volume, but I don't think it's targeted towards children.
I thought it was kind of like The Little Prince-esque.
I could see that. Kind of an adult, but I don't know that it's a children's
book. For all ages, Jonathan Livingston Seagull.
Yeah, it's a novella.
Oh, well, excuse me.
Yeah, not
children
a children's
can't
book.
read novellas.
It's a novella.
Aren't all children's books novellas? Like they're all like 65 to 100 pages.
Many of them are short stories.
I guess so, but this book does not like self-identify as a children's book.
It also doesn't appear in Gravity's Rainbow, but seagulls do.
No, seagulls do, and yeah, we can move on and talk about the seagulls now.
I don't really have much to say about this. I'm noticing that Pynchon keeps like beginning and ending these sequences or episodes with the same or analogous images. We're introduced to our trio hanging out in Slothrop's room. Tantavi and Teddy are sharing a room, but Slothrop's got his own.
Why are they sharing a room?
You know, save government costs.
Yeah.
Is it because their
government's not going to pay for 3 rooms?
But is it because Slothrop's an American that he has his own room because he's getting funding from someone else? Like, is he like, oh yeah, the Americans are paying for my room, and then the 2 English guys are like, well, we were given money for 1 room? Or is it because I feel like Tantavi doesn't seem to be as in on everything that goes down as everyone else is?
That we know of.
I don't think he is.
So
I'm a little worried for Tantavi myself.
Is Teddy purposefully sticking close to him?
It's also possible that they've put Slothrop in his own room to like more easily lead him into the series of shenanigans that they lead him into.
True. I guess maybe they can't guarantee that he's going to go back to Katya's room later, and they need his room to also not have Tantavi and Teddy in it in case that's how it breaks.
Yeah, plus
a lot of scheming to ponder.
Tantivy and Teddy, they're old university buddies as well. So maybe
why not recommence sleeping in the same room together in a shared bunk bed just to for old time's sake.
Why are they here?
They're on vacation.
That has not been made clear to anyone yet.
Are they on vacation, or is this like a government-funded trip?
I mean, they did go on leave. Like, going on leave is a thing when it's definitely in World War II, and I think, in other wars as well. You do get, like, issued a weekend, or, you get passes for, like, the night off, basically, where you can stay out.
Or if you're Pig Bodine, you just go off without leave. Yeah, Pig Bodine more AWOL, but you can leave and not be AWOL. You can be have your pass, because I mean, Slothrop does, when he gets his stuff stolen later, one of his first thoughts is that his pass has been stolen as well. Like, that's his, like, the thing that he would present to, like, an MP that would prove that he's allowed to be on vacation right now.
I see.
But they have presumably been sent here, because Pointsman, I guess, in the last section was like, Slothrop should be in the Riviera by now, which is presumably right. I
think,
where
like, maybe him. Like covertly. It seems like Slothrop thinks they're on vacation, but in fact, there are some greater plans at play.
Yeah.
Right.
Like why? I don't think Teddy Bloat is actually on vacation.
Right. Why they're in the Riviera was predetermined, but he doesn't believe he's the only soldier on vacation. He's not like, that's not weird to him necessarily.
Well, yeah, because they also meet some of the, there's a couple generals here, and there's other soldiers.
Maybe if they're on vacation, Slothrop just, like, prefers to have his own lodgings.
Could be.
And Teddy and Tantivy are, like, trying to save money or something.
He is one of these, like, rugged individualist Americans.
Maybe that's a secret clue that Tantivy and Teddy are actually being paid by the government for this trip, but Slothrop is on vacation, so he's booked his own room. Yeah.
Can we talk about the fall of Vichy France now as a set?
Yes, I was so hoping that you would, Andrew.
Okay. In the last episode... Oh, go ahead. Patrick, were you going to say something before I...
Oh, I was just going to say, I've seen the Weisenberger companion pretty explicitly says that this is, like, definitely Monte Carlo, which makes sense because of the casino. Yeah.
There are casinos in places.
There are.
They can see Antibes. I looked up Antibes because I was like, what is Antibes? And it's part of France. It's in, like, Nice.
Yeah, so that was one of the clues. There's, like, a couple clues that Weisenberger, and it seems like maybe some other people have put together about, like, when it says along the Cap, it's probably the Cap Martin, a spit of land located 3 miles eastward across the bay from Monte Carlo. The Esplanade, there is a beachside promenade in Monte Carlo, according to Baedeker's Southeastern France, that is frequently called the Esplanade. So I don't think it's
not Baedeker.
I don't think, Baedeker keeps showing up. I don't think Pynchon didn't put down Baedeker. He just stopped making whole entire chapters about him. I'm not sure it's confirmed in the text per se anywhere, but that is one of the I guess theories about where this is supposed to be taking place, but your mileage may vary.
But Antibes is in France.
Well, I mean, it seems I didn't really put this together. Clearly, as you were probably about to introduce, our understanding of some parts of the French Riviera geography are lacking in spaces. I didn't exactly realize that, like, Monaco, although it is nowadays, it's its own nation.
Principality.
Yeah, principality is in the French Riviera. Like, the landmass of the French Riviera includes Monaco.
Yeah.
So it is certainly possible. Also, yeah, I'm not exactly sure, as you're about to explain, I don't know what the government situation is in some of these places right now in the book.
Yeah. So I guess it was on the last episode when we were like, the Riviera, is it the French Riviera? Is there another Riviera? we all made fools of ourselves because we did not know what was going on. So I'm going to set the
Please
record
help
straight
us.
for the three of us, at least.
Help us look good, Andrew.
Now, if you get anything wrong now, you're gonna
Now, if we
really
get-
look like an asshole.
I'm still flying at 10,000 feet. Don't worry. I'm not going to be making any hyper-specific claims for this reason. So after Germany invaded France, France was effectively partitioned into a sort of German, I guess you could call it maybe a protectorate, a German controlled zone that ran along the English Channel and through Paris and towards like Belgium. And then southern and eastern France along, I guess, the sort of southern portion of Spain, and then along the Mediterranean was,
Northern portion of Spain.
oh, sorry. The Germans controlled from like Belgium around the English Channel down along the Atlantic coast and through like the central Paris area. And then Vichy France was South France. So from like Spain to Italy along the Mediterranean and like the southern interior portion. That Vichy France was technically, I think, a neutral nation during the war. They were considered an armed neutrality, and that they, I guess at points, fought both the Allies and the Axis powers until like 1942, when Germany sort of took the whole thing over briefly. And Vichy France was sort of totally not in control anymore. Then D-Day happened in June of 1944. Allied forces landed in northern France. And then by midsummer, they had marched on to Paris. And there were secondary landings in southern France by Allied and French forces that sort of were spreading out in the south. And then by the end of summer of 1944, France had effectively been entirely liberated, and the Vichy government had fled into Germany. And then by May of 1945, Germany was falling. So when this takes place in like late December / January, I guess is when this book is taking place, because the Pointsman was thinking about it over Christmas time.
Yep, at the Christmas
France
party.
has effectively been entirely liberated and is under Allied control. So,
Okay.
that's where
Thank
we're
you,
at.
Andrew.
Thank you.
We need that. You got to keep that coming as we keep going in this book. Yeah, you can see, have y'all seen ads before, like trailers before movies for the new movie Pressure, about the guys doing the forecast for D-Day, and the central drama is whether or not they're going to delay D-Day because of like a storm that is coming through.
And
And
making
then
movies about everything these days.
they're making movies in any part of D-Day now has a movie. You can watch one whole D-Day cinematic universe.
Is this another Tom Hanks World War II film?
I don't think Tom Hanks is involved. Not to my knowledge, but I like recently saw a trailer for this in front of something, and I
I
was
feel like this weather point also came up in the Eisenhower Museum.
The fact that Germany, by the end of the war, had lost control of the Atlantic Ocean meant that they could no longer predict the weather that was crossing the Atlantic Ocean, whereas the Allies could just ask the United States what the weather was like, and then a few days later that weather would show up. And there's only one known example. This is a fascinating anecdote, which I will take us down. There's one known example of the Germans for sure invading North America, and it was to set up a weather station in northern Canada for the point of forecasting the weather. And because they put it in sort of in a out of the way area, but they were, couldn't be guaranteed that no one would find it. So they stamped it with a fake Canadian, like Royal Canadian Weather Department logo, and just hoped for the best. And in the 1970s, I think, ish, a like geologist found it and did not know what the Royal Canadian Weather Department was, and basically just like put out a call to be like, does anyone know like what this piece of tech is? Like, it, I guess, seems to be weather related, but I've never seen it. No one's ever seen one of these. And it was just like a German guy who was like, oh, I worked in the factory that made those. We were making like weather forecasting equipment for the German military during the war. And then they sort of reverse engineered that a U-boat must have pulled up and put that down and then fled in the middle of the night. And it had just been sitting out in the wilderness for decades.
Wow.
Wow.
Another thing that sounds surely like it will show up in a Thomas Pynchon novel one of these days.
Yeah, it's very Pynchon-esque.
Yeah, you should link me to that, and I will put it in the show notes.
Well, I'm Googling.
I was also looking up just now. So Monaco was sort of occupied by both Italian and German forces at various points during the war. Germany took it over after, Italy kind of split and the war in Italy began. There were various like deportations of Jewish citizens to concentration camps from Monaco. Looks like by September of 1944, it was liberated. In the event that this is in fact taking place in Monaco.
Patrick, I think you were worried we wouldn't have enough to talk about in this episode. And I would like to point out that we are like 2 pages into the first section and we've talked for almost an hour. So I don't think that concern was really well founded.
We do all right here at Pynchon Pals. Hopefully you think so, listener.
What's happening in the book right now?
What's happening in the book?
They're having
Slothrop
a nice
is
vacation.
shaving.
There are
Slothrop is
girls
shaving.
around.
Pantavy is calling down. Oh no! First they sing a fun song.
The Englishman's very shy foxtrot. The Englishman's very shy foxtrot.
Yeah, it is a foxtrot.
Yes.
I've heard that Thomas Pynchon oftentimes like uses actual pop songs as kind of the basis for the rhythm and meter of a lot of his made up songs. And so some people have done like a fun game of trying to find what song his songs are sung to the tune of, kind of like we did in the last episode.
Do we know this one?
I do not know. I just was going to point that out as like a fact that I learned.
Because I've been wondering, like I kind of want to hum along, but
there are some that I think people have pretty good guesses of that are like clearly specific parodies. Like some of the Kenosha Kid songs are straight parodies of existing sort of country western folk songs.
I just assumed that there was a sort of an obvious foxtrot beat that this went with, that because it's 2026,
yes.
I'm just too much of a heathen to know what a foxtrot beat even would be.
Yeah, there's a
isn't that, no, that's waltz. I was thinking a foxtrot has like a 4 count, right?
It does, yes. And it like changes, I think, from like a slower section to a quicker section, which is probably the bits where it turned into
part.
the 2 line segments that Bloat and Tantivy alternate on. But basically what they're trying to do is convince Slothrop to help them with the women because he's like American and exotic and they're just boring Brits.
I really liked some of the phrasing in these chapters. I underlined on this particular page, Slothrop is sort of wandering. I'll just read the sentence. Slothrop, at this point shaving, wanders out with the foamy badger brush in his fist to see what's happening and collides with Bloat, who's dashing to peer down over his compatriot's left epaulette at 3 pretty girls' faces, upturned, straw-haloed each by a giant sun hat, smiles all dazzling, eyes mysterious as the sea behind them. I just really liked that description. It felt almost like a painting of like 3 girls on the beach with like enormous hats.
Well, then Slothrop starts like painting Bloat on the back with the badger brush at some point, doesn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Which I thought was cute.
I'm glad you were thinking of a sort of impressionist painting, because I was just picturing this in the Seinfeld apartment with George, Jerry, and Kramer running around.
Yeah, you're...
I feel like this actually these sections really alternate between like impressionist painting and like sitcom.
Yeah, you're not wrong. I say, ooh, inquires Bloat. Ooh, déjeuner. I like their attempts at French across these sections. Moi, Tantivy, moi. Oh yeah, lathering Tantivy between the shoulder blades. Yeah, that's the part I was looking at. In fact, Tantivy even says...
I just noticed that
it sounds like a painting, something by an impressionist, fauve, full of light. I just recently took a fun daytime trip to the Chicago Art Institute, saw some fauvist paintings. They got some good ones there. I don't know if you know. Just check it out if you're ever in town. Then we get to the object. God almighty, what is that supposed to be? What's what? Slothrop's face, nothing but innocent, as he slips into and begins to button the object in question. You can't expect us to be seen with... My brother Hogan sent it to me, Slothrop lets him know, for my birthday, all the way from the Pacific. See on the back? Under the fellows in the outrigger canoe there, to the left of those hibiscus blossoms, it says, Souvenir of Honolulu. This is the authentic item, Mucker Maverick. Not some cheap imitation.
And the British men are just appalled by this Hawaiian shirt. And they're like, what girl would want to get near anything like that? And then, they go hang out with the girls and they have this description. They emerge into sunlight. Gulls begin to wail. The garment on Slothrop blazes into a refulgent life of its own. Tantivy squeezes his eyes shut. When he opens them, the girls are all attached to Slothrop, stroking his shirt, nibbling at its collar points, cooing in French.
And who could blame them?
Oui.
Men everywhere. All you need is a Hawaiian shirt, apparently.
Who says the ladies love a man in uniform? What the ladies love is a man in a Hawaiian shirt.
Not just any uniform they are wearing. Uniforms from a Savile Row establishment whose fitting rooms are actually decorated with the portraits of all the venerable sheep, some nobly posed on crags, others in pensive, soft close-ups, from whom the original fog-silvered wool was sheared.
Alas, it can't compete with a Hawaiian shirt.
No, absolutely not.
I have an important question for you guys.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, you're both only children. I
more or less, but yes,
was shocked and awed and appalled to find out that Slothrop has a brother.
Hogan Slothrop?
200 pages in, the fact that Tyrone has he doesn't. I don't believe it. He could have a cousin named Hogan, but he's an only child. He does not have a sibling. And I want to know what you guys think about this. Does Slothrop feel like an only child to you guys? Or could he have a Hogan?
There's enough weirdness around Slothrop's childhood that I could believe he was like abducted by aliens and deposited into the Slothrop family. I could believe that he is a changeling whose place was switched by the Fae at a young age in some sort of gothic folktale way.
I think that's the way to go. Like, maybe he's effectively an only child, but like he does like sort of nominally have a family. Or
what was happening to Hogan during this time?
He was probably stationed in the Pacific.
No, I mean, like,
that's what I assumed.
They gave I realize he's fighting in the Pacific, not in 1944. I mean, where was he in 1922 when their parents have given away Tyrone to YAMF to do psychological experiments on? Is Hogan just the daycare?
Maybe he was like a younger brother. Like, yeah, maybe like Hogan was the loved one, and Slothrop, they were like, we don't like this kid.
But it feels like if you'd had a child who as a baby has done some terrific run on like Barney and Sesame Street, and now as an adult is back in the talkies, and you find out they've got a brother who just went to high school.
Maybe it's like a Gallagher and Gallagher 2 situation. There's just an analogous story of Gravity's Rainbow happening on the Pacific Front. Who's to say?
I feel like there's a lot of celebrities with like siblings that you don't hear about.
Doug Pitt,
for example.
Tom Hanks's brother, who does a lot of Tom Hanks sound-alike performances in various secondary Disney properties.
A lucrative gig.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
I get the impression that the Slothrops are a big family, you know?
Yeah.
Maybe not as prestigious as the Kennedys per se, but like the Kennedys have heard of the Slothrops. Maybe.
I mean, Jack knows Tyrone. He cleaned the bathroom that the club's knocked out at.
Yeah, I think Tyrone knows Jack. I don't know that Jack is like who. Jack Kennedy opens the door of the frat house to Tyrone is like, who do you know here? We get another good name, Cesar Phlebotomo, the manager of the casino. I've just written lull in the margins in a lot of sections of this chapter, just to remind myself that I found it funny.
Yeah, a lot of this was funny. I wrote here communication in the margins because I noticed at a couple points in these couple of sections, like we saw some interesting methods of communication taking place.
Like what?
Well, in this case, on page 187, they describe the roof of the casino has like a mosaic of tiny and perfect seashells that have been put into place in a German typeface expansive enough to be seen from the air. So ostensibly, I guess, do you think it says the name of the casino?
Yeah, I think that's
in the seashells.
Yeah, that's what I assumed. Is like you've got these German airmen just like putting Hermann Göring's name.
And seashells on the roof of.
You know, if you're just you're a Luftwaffe pilot, you're in the sun, you don't have anything to do today, go collect some shells and get up on that roof and get to tiling.
Yeah, like, so that seemed to me like an interesting and inefficient method of communicating.
Well, they needed a new roof, right? The casino was bombed, and so they had to put up a new roof anyway, and I guess people thought it would be funny.
And then a little later on in the next section, we see another strange method of communication mentioned sort of offhand in a bathroom with a bunch of toilet stalls that are equipped with a network of brass voice tubes to make stall-to-stall conversation easier.
This sounded like a great idea.
Does it?
Yeah.
Does it? It sounds unnecessary.
Don't like ladies love going to the bathroom together and catching up?
I just feel like you don't need a brass voice tube to do that. You just chit-chat.
But I'm imagining this is like one of those like really
nice
fancy
Duri.
Where the doors go to the floor.
This is door to the floor, walls to the ceiling. Yeah, you're not able to pass toilet paper under the barrier in this.
But you do have a voice tube that you can use to chit-chat. But you would have to make sure you're like adjacent to each other.
But that can be easily accomplished.
Yeah, that doesn't seem that hard. I mean, you could just make a new friend too, I guess.
Yeah.
I guess so. Yeah, I don't want like random people talking through the voice. It feels more directed than like...
Then don't pick up.
I just feel like if you're chatting in the bathroom, it's supposed to be like, you know, I don't know. It feels more pointed or invasive when it's coming through a voice tube.
This is exactly it. Is that like normally in your average ordinary bathroom, if you wanted to gab with your stall mate next door, like everyone else can hear you. But if you're speaking into the tube, you can have your own private conversation going on.
Or anyone can sort of invade your space.
It's kind of like, you ever been to one of those like playgrounds that has the tube that you in the, like, it goes all the way to the other side of the playground?
Yeah.
You don't know where
Yeah.
there's a third tube coming up.
Who's listening? Anyways, that was kind of a digression, but
No, but I think you're right. That's a good point. There's all sorts of. I mean, we also learn later on. We'll get there when we get there. But the Slothrop wonders if there's a code to the height of the chairs in the gaming room.
yeah, it just feels like there's hidden codes everywhere, hidden messages.
It certainly feels that way, whether or not it is the case.
That's part of the paranoia.
Yeah. But
yeah, and there's different, like, as on our horror theme, like building on King Kong, we're having like a great time. We're on the beach. We're all relaxed, but there are a few sort of hints of things being like a little creepy, maybe, or imposing, or like something not so good going on. For example, they describe the casino as looming.
Mm-hmm.
Which isn't a very fun word. Like, it's we're a little like, I was a little like, looming casino.
Yeah, there's also the translucent bones of gulls that are on the beach, and a drab singlet Wehrmacht issue torn and blotted with bearing grease, presumably from someone who is deserted or whose body has already been picked away by scavenging animals. One of the two. But I assumed a deserter. Slothrop is looking at all of the boats. Guess reminds him of the Cape back home. I like this this sentence that on the edge of the water, small kids are chasing, screaming, laughing in that hoarse, helplessly tickled little kid way. Which like sounds nice enough, but the only other instance of tickling that we've seen has been death lingering at the doorway.
Yeah, there is like a hint that like maybe there's something darker going on here.
It reminds me a little bit of the section in V in Malta with the children, where like the daylight suddenly starts to, as the sun descends, the children start to get like more sinister and ghostly. And
it happens in The Crying of Lot 49 too, with the kids in Park in San Francisco. It's like rarely are kids having a good time in Thomas Pynchon books a sign of a nice thing happening. They're never having fun to have fun. They're having fun to be sinister.
We haven't seen a kid have a normal time in Thomas Pynchon.
Not really. I feel like Pynchon does I feel like he excels at this sort of.
Who's the little kid in V?
Oh yeah, of course, with the fossils.
Mildred.
No, not Mildred. Josefina's youngest brother. He's having a good time just to have a good time. Who runs around in the crowd and asks for money on the subway, like busts on the subway.
Cucarachito.
Yeah. He's having a good time to have a good time.
Yeah.
He was the only one, maybe. And Mildred. Although Mildred was like a teen.
Mildred was having kind of a weird time. She was 11.
Yeah.
Okay, a preteen. But like the Kook was like a child. He's like 6.
Yeah.
I do feel like Thomas Pynchon excels at this idea of like sort of a growing horror and like having a really peaceful, idyllic story, and then this like growing sense that something is awry or there's something sinister going on. I feel like he does a really good job of writing those passages.
Yeah.
But I will say on the Pynchon cookbook, we will have to include a breakfast of wine and bread. That sounds
so
really good to me.
Oh my God.
Yeah. This made me want to go to the French Riviera. I was like, I'd like to go on my, like, hang out on the boat and like enjoy the warm inside of bread at my fingertips, floury wine and long, easy passage streaming downward around the root of your tongue. Sounded great.
Off in the distance.
Who's that?
Holy shit, it's moving. An octopus? I just thought I'd do a dramatic reading.
Yeah, it's moving towards dim figure in a black bombazine frock that reaches to her knees. I want to talk more about this figure's clothing throughout this these two sequences more in the next one than this one, but she's wearing a black frock.
Oh, yeah.
right
Sorry.
now.
I skipped ahead of Katya and just jumped
Yeah.
straight to the octopus.
Yeah, Teddy immediately suggests that this woman in the distance must know Slothrop.
Teddy.
It's landing on a little thick here.
Yeah, Teddy is either not good at this or not actually involved.
He's definitely involved.
I mean, Slothrop is almost instantly aware that he's being set up. Like, he isn't, there's no back and forth. Like, he's already sort of had his back and forth on the paranoia. He's fully on board with he is being watched.
Yeah.
And he doesn't seem, he's not really ducking away from it. Like, he's letting it happen. He knows he's sort of like swimming along the way you're supposed to do in an avalanche. Like, he's being taken down, but he just keep his head above water, keep pedaling.
Pynchon Pals
Paddling.
does not vouch for any of our advice about what to do or not to do in an avalanche. Should you be in that situation, that is not official advice.
I will vouch for keep your head above the snow. That's that seems like fair weather advice.
There was recently a whole article on sort of examining survival tactics for an avalanche following a series of people that were trapped, some of whom passed away, some of whom did not in an avalanche.
Stay safe out there.
Yeah.
Okay, yes, so there's a big octopus. This octopus, I did find why in an earlier summary I said it was a gigantic octopus, and then both of y'all were like, is it a big octopus? I thought it was just a regularly sized octopus. And I found, where is it? Back in like the early Pointsman chapter where he's talking to what's his name about how he needs one little fox. He's talking to Spectro. Anybody remember where
Sure.
this
I don't know. I mean, I don't know what
Yes.
page that's on.
Yeah, it's on page 52 in our version. This is our introduction to Grigori, which also introduces a different character that I realized returning to this. Yet for all his agonizing, all Pointsman will score presently is an octopus. Yes, a gigantic horror movie devilfish, name of Grigori, gray, slimy, never still, shivering slow motion in his makeshift pen down by the egregious jetty. A terrible wind that day off the channel. Pointsman in his balaclava helmet, eyes freezing. Dr. Porkyevich, with a great coat collar up and fur hat down around his ears, their breaths foul with hours-old fish, and what the hell can Pointsman do with this animal? So we get Grigori and this fellow that we'll be introduced to again in another couple of pages, but it is a big octopus from the jump.
I didn't
Okay,
realize Grigori was quite this large.
Yeah, I would push back on using what they said, gigantic. A single instance of the word gigantic, I think, for an octopus does not mean so big that it can wrap a tentacle around the neck of a grown woman, like from the ground. That's
The giant Pacific octopus can have an arm span of up to 14 feet.
That's enough for a waist, a neck.
they got to tell us that. The just gigantic feels like I feel like if someone presented to me like a 3-foot diameter octopus, I'd be like, this is a gigantic octopus, because I'm used to octopuses you get at like sushi restaurants that are like 2 inches in diameter.
This feels like something that maybe Thomas Pynchon has just like been increasing the size of Grigori every time he writes a section about Grigori, where he's just like, and by this point he says, quote, yes, it is the biggest fucking octopus Slothrop's ever seen outside of the movies.
But how many
Which,
octopuses
again,
has
how big
Slothrop
could that
seen
be?
outside the movies?
You just mentioned the usual size of octopi that you interact with, Andrew.
And the biggest octopus I had ever seen in the wild, if it was 2 feet,
Ain't a
it
very
would
big
qualify
octopus.
for the biggest octopus I'd ever seen in the wild. They don't show up in my day to day.
Well, it's here now. Slothrop runs over to help. There's hermit crabs. she's being dragged in. She's wearing a man's steel ID bracelet on the wrist.
And as you said, is dressed in a black bombazine frock, which is sort of like a Victorian, like, morning dress.
Yeah, I want to get here because Katya's outfits are all over the place.
She's giving V, honestly.
Interesting. There's so this is where Bloat, 10 feet away, offering him a large crab and saying, "It's hungry, it'll go for the crab. Don't kill it, Slothrop."
Not suspicious at all.
This felt very much like a video game NPC who's running over, who's like, "Slothrop, use the crab to distract the octopus." "This isn't working, Slothrop. We gotta try using the crab."
When you find in the main treasure chest in the dungeon, there's a crab, and then you're like, I guess this is important for the boss fight, but I don't fully understand how yet.
Da-na-na-na. That's good. Yeah. It's precisely what it is.
If we're talking about things that cracked us up, I laughed really hard at Slothrop's observation that, quote, "this octopus is not in good mental health."
Yeah.
I thought that was really funny.
He's been watching creep show home movies for hours and hours a day.
Oh, that's why he's been watching Katya.
Wow, this is so tightly written.
I
It's
forgot
all coming
about that.
together.
Yeah. Wow. It makes sense why the
We
octopus
should-
would want to attack Katya.
Go back to page 0 and start reading this book again. I think it would really click.
I think the podcast is going to get really interesting when we finish all the Pynchon books and then we go back and we read them again and we record new episodes.
We go beyond the 0. Yeah, poor Grigori. He does want that crab, though. Gotta hand it to him.
Yeah, I like this description. There's a mad exuberance as with inanimate objects which fall off tables when we are sensitive to noise and our own clumsiness and don't want them to fall. A sort of wham. Here it is again. Wham. In the cephalopod's every movement. Which was a really interesting analogy that I didn't like fully understand.
Yeah, allegedly there's a bit of correspondence with Pynchon where he talks about kind of being a little out of his gourd and addled perhaps on some substances and like not precisely knowing what he meant with some of the things that he wrote in Gravity's Rainbow. And like, I do think this is a precise example of a kind of like simile that I feel like I understand what it's saying, but exactly.
I kind of do too. Like you're sitting in a quiet room and you like knock an object and you hope it'll like land quietly, but no, it like, you know, makes a giant crash or like suddenly like falls with exuberance. And that's kind of how this like octopus is like flopping around. The listener can't see me, but I'm sort of flopping my arms as though I were an octopus.
I think that headspace of like, I've knocked something over and I'm not concerned that this thing is going to hit the floor. I'm concerned about the sort of noise. Like I've been there. I get that. I'm more concerned that this is going to make a loud noise than I am that this thing is going to fall and hit the floor. Like it's not going to break, but.
Or I guess if
it
it bounces in the case of making the sound twice, if it like bounces up and then hits again.
Yeah.
Although now I'm realizing we have a character here who is perhaps particularly conditioned to be sensitive to really loud noises.
That is interesting. Well, and I feel like we also have this idea that like Grigori has been conditioned, and so he's like not fully in control of his body as an octopus and has sort of been like conditioned to like go after this crab. And so is sort of like an inanimate object, almost like falling due to gravity, where the gravity is sort of like the conditioning that they've imprinted him with.
Sorry, say that again. The what is the what?
The gravity
is the what?
Conditioning.
That just feels good relative to some of the themes of this book.
And the title?
Yeah.
I didn't really mean that, but
No, I know, but you saying it, it's clicking some gears into place.
maybe this 2-sentence analogy is the key to this whole book.
It genuinely might be. The more we talk about it, when only faced with 25 pages to get through, we're just like this
Sentence.
This bit right here.
This is it. This is the whole book.
This is the message.
Yeah, conditioned to gravity.
Like you're falling without control into the action that someone else has forced on you.
Yeah, but I'm thinking of what if you're conditioned to the gravity of other things? Or like to other things being affected by gravity.
Oh, like Slothrop is like tuned into the fact that like Grigori is sort of like...
Or that the bombs are falling. I'm talking about Slothrop and the bombs.
Well, yeah, but he's tuning into the octopus for the same reason he tunes into the bombs, maybe.
Yeah. They're both conditioned. Akin in some way.
Well, yeah, and like the rockets also, they're no longer like moving by their own volition or power. Once they reach a certain, like the apex, they're entirely controlled by gravity.
Mm-hmm.
Whoa.
So Slothrop saves Katya. We find out her last name, Katya Borgesius. Kind of, I guess, Dutchification of Jorge Luis Borges. Who I didn't realize. I've mentioned his stories several times on the podcast. I did not necessarily realize that there'd be a direct connection there.
Where is the direct connection? Sorry.
Her last name is Borgesius.
Oh.
Like Borges. But Dutch. We'll see where that goes, I guess. Then we get a nice description of what this paranoia feels like for Slothrop. So here it is, grouped on the beach with strangers, that voices begin to take on a touch of metal, each word a hard-edged clap, and the light, though bright as before, is less able to illuminate. It's a Puritan reflex of seeking other orders behind the visible, also known as paranoia filtering in. I like these connections we get in these two sequences about, like, Slothrop's Puritan impulse and paranoia at, like, a political or sort of governmental scale.
Yeah, they really emphasize his Americanness throughout here. And then we find out that, like, Slothrop maybe has some, like, allies in this space. Namely, possibly Tantivy and then Ghislaine, who refers to him as Little Tyrone, which was the name of the baby.
Infant Tyrone's the name of the baby,
Tyrone.
but I do think we're supposed to hear.
Yeah.
And he doesn't click in. He's like, little. He's twice her size. But for the reader.
Yeah, this is, I found this, like, deeply creepy of, like,
sinister. Yeah, it's like shivers up the spine.
The girl he's been hanging out with all day is like, did you notice how it kind of looked like everything there was set up? And, like, Slothrop's already been wondering if everything's already set up, and suddenly either someone else has recognized that it looked set up, or is part of the setup that is trying to compound his doubt. It's good.
Yeah, she says it was like a dance.
She's a dancer.
And she goes, little Tyrone. Yeah, I got, like, shivers here. I feel like Pynchon does a really good job of, like, interweaving these very funny segments, like a fight with an octopus with, like, a realization or a statement that just kind of sends shivers up your spine.
Mm-hmm.
Slothrop is very much living the quote, I guess, the Joseph Heller quote that is, just because you're paranoid doesn't mean they're not following you. Something like that.
Yeah. Real quick, I don't want to pass over. Slothrop believes that women, quote, like Martians, have antennas. Men do not. Keeps an eye on her.
Look, just because he's a Yankee doesn't mean he knows everything about women.
But this is also what Jessica was wondering about Slothrop in the first place, which is like, why not look at the girls who are also in the same place at
Like,
the same
they're
time
in
with the
tune.
rocket?
Yeah.
Shall we leave it there on the beach and take a break before returning for the second half of our sojourn?
Let's do it.
Sure.
All right. Pynchon pals, we'll be right back after a quick wine and bread break on the beach.
I wish.
Not going to let it go to waste.
Sit down, weary traveler. I am not what you seek. Join me in a meal to hear of my repentance.
Should we go back into the pod?
We've got our tuxedos on. We're on the casino floor.
Yes. Episode sequence 2.2. Out at sea, Grigory the Octopus returns to a ship where Dr. Porkyevich, a Soviet exile working for Pointsman, awaits him. Back at the casino, the boys spot Katya dolled up for a date night with the British brass, but she and Slothrop are able to schedule a midnight rendezvous on the sly. Before heading upstairs to Katya's room, Slothrop confides in Tantivy, and the latter shares his own reservations about Bloat's recent behavior and agrees there may be more going on than meets the eye. Tantivy offers to help Slothrop should he need it. But up in room 306, Slothrop needs no help playing his part in what he suspects inspecting the quote-unquote props is an elaborate play designed to put him and Katya under her sheets. In the night, Katya's face undergoes a quote-unquote terrible beast-like change. After the sex, they have a slapstick pillow fight, then have sex again under the sitting room's red tablecloth. In the morning, Slothrop hears his clothes getting stolen, wraps himself in a bedsheet, and chases the thief Looney Tunes style up a tree, whereupon he crashes onto a game of croquet. Borrowing Bloat's spare uniform, he realizes everything of his has been stolen, then tries to find Tantivy, but can't. He wanders the streets as a storm rolls in, musing on the role that they, capital T, are playing in his fate and on his Puritan ancestry. Soaking wet, he returns to Katya's room.
So many echoes here of past books.
People climbing on things, people falling from things.
I saw Porpentine. I saw Oedipa. I saw Charisma. I saw them all.
Wow, charisma's a good
Charisma.
pull. That's a good pull. And yeah, wow.
There was a lot of charisma. There was like, we were in a blanket, we were in a sheet.
Those are the two
Charisma
places
was
we
under
saw
those things a lot.
Charisma.
Classic charisma. That's not true. We saw him at a jazz club one time. Yeah, I did also think that this. I think that this is in a real way what I meant when I said we're so back at the beginning of this episode. Like, it just feels this is just pure Pynchon. We have like slapstick, we have like some funny zippy dialogue, we have a dark night of the soul followed by sort of existential dread.
Is it a Pynchon novel if someone doesn't fall out of a tree? Did anyone fall out of a tree in Lot 49?
No, but I was thinking of that stunt that a lot of people gave a lot of credit in One Battle After Another, where Leonardo DiCaprio's character falls the fuck out of that tree.
Yeah, good
I remember
point.
him falling off a building. When did he fall off a tree?
He hits a tree on the way down.
He hits a tree on the way down.
Okay.
Yeah.
The last thing he falls out of is the tree. It's not the first
yeah,
thing he
there you
falls
go.
out of.
Okay, so we begin on this boat with Dr. Porkyevich,
Dr. P.
who truly I had forgotten we had met before until
You'd
going
forgotten
back
the
to
name Porkyevich.
Yep. I guess I should have remembered because of Porky Pig, Thomas Pynchon's favorite Looney Tune, perhaps. No, he likes Roadrunner. But Dr. Porkyevich is here, and Grigory is back in his enclosure.
Since Duri refuses to watch Who Framed Roger Rabbit, are we at least going to be able to watch Coyote versus Acme for the pod?
Oh yeah.
Oh, we
I love
absolutely
Roadrunner.
need to watch Coyote versus Acme for the pod.
And I'll watch Who Framed Roger Rabbit reluctantly, but if it's for the pod, I'll do it.
It was just put, I don't know if you saw this in our group chat, Duri,
I liked
but
it. Oh.
what is it? The BAM, the Brooklyn Academy of Music, is putting on a Pynchon-esque film series.
Oh, really?
Yeah, if you're in New York, go check that out. It looks really great. They're doing Inherent Vice. They've got Duck Soup, the Marx Brothers movie. They've got like 5 movies that we've talked about doing for our
Oh,
thing,
that'll be good inspiration.
including Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Wow. Okay, I'll cave. Maybe next month.
Maybe they listen to us.
They could, yeah. I would be thrilled. Yeah, The Big Lebowski is on here. They do not have Tamala 2010, which seems like a layup, but that's fine.
Oversight.
Yeah, so Porkyevich is a Soviet exile. There was evidence linking him to the Bukharin conspiracy.
And what was the Bukharin conspiracy?
Weisenberger has a pretty decent gloss on this. Nikolai Bukharin was a Trotskyite revolutionary theorist and author of the influential critique Imperialism and Capitalist Economy, released 1920. When the Stalinist regime brought him to trial in 1938, Bukharin confessed to a myriad of trumped-up crimes, most of which involved ideological differences between the Trotskyite and Stalinite factions. He was executed on March 15th, 1938, and the confessions tortured out of him sent more to their deaths. So presumably, Porkyevich was sort of like named in some of these trumped-up sort of party purges.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it was part of the sort of Great Purge. The trial he was in was called the Trial of 21, which is, and as you'd expect, 21 prominent Bolsheviks were all charged with treason. So,
But Porkyevich, luckily, says that like he
got out of it, I guess.
It wasn't just the party. It wasn't just the party for him. He had other things going on besides the party. So now he's got this octopus. That's pretty cool.
He uses like a Russian sort of like nickname term of endearment for
Grisha.
Grisha.
Very familiar to me from all my Russian literature classes in college.
He's very concerned that now that they've accomplished the one task that Pointsman has put to them, that they're just going to get cut free, and that's not going to be good for them. What is Porkyevich going to do without a government-funded lab to hang out with his gigantic octopus at?
His octopus of unusual size.
OOUSs.
I've got us. Okay, one more thing about how big Grigori is.
Yeah. And another thing.
Pointsman, back in that section, when he gets Grigori, is upset. He wants a fox that is a human. He's tired of dogs, and he doesn't like pet dogs because they mess things up. And he seems bummed out about this octopus. But if you've been given a human-sized octopus, that's like objectively cool. Like there's no reason he shouldn't be bummed out. It's not like, he wasn't like,
well, he clearly found a good use for it. He dreamed up this elaborate scheme involving the I don't know what they're trying to get Slothrop to do, but I am sure there was an easier way that maybe did not involve an enormous octopus.
Maybe that goes back to your thoughts on sort of overly complicated means of communication, that if they just sat him down and asked, this could have been over. This could have been a short story where they sit down and talk to Slothrop head on about what's going on. The funny thing
is that Slothrop picks up on what's going on. I mean, or maybe just the fact that there is something going on, and then sleeps with Katya anyways because he thinks she's hot. And like, I feel like they could have just.
And listener, Andrew and I just like sort of nodded in between.
Patrick, do you remember when we watched Heathers?
What happened when we watched Heathers?
When we watched Heathers and they trick the football players into going out into the woods where they shoot them to death.
Yes, I do recall that. Yeah.
And listener, the women in the room were very confused as to how that possibly could have occurred and how these football players could have been too dumb to see through this plot. None of the men were confused. We understood. It made perfect sense.
This is not like
I just don't think
this
the
is not-
octopus was needed.
this
Is all I have to say.
This is not a men are from Mars, women are from Venus thing, but like at the point where you're already wrapped up in the conspiracy, you may as well also get laid in the course of the conspiracy that already has you in its clutches.
Yeah, I think he didn't know. He was aware that he didn't know the way out and should just like, push through, so to speak.
When you're lost in the labyrinth, you go to the middle to fight the Minotaur. Like that, we've been hearing about this
That's true.
Greek myth now forever, and he's got Ariadne with him.
Mm.
And Ariadne is who helps whoever get out of the labyrinth. I only remember her name.
Perseus? I think it's Perseus.
Okay, well, if he's Perseus and she's Ariadne, then he needs her.
I jumped back to the section where we're introduced to Grigori again, and there's a bit where one of the things Spectro said that night, surely it was that night, was, I only wonder if you'd feel the same way without all these dogs about. If your subjects all along had been human. You ought to be offering me one or two then, instead of, are you serious? Giant octopi? The doctors are watching each other closely. I wonder what you'll do. So do I. Take the octopus. Does he mean forget Slothrop? A charged moment. So this is it a little bit to presumably Pointsman being like, I'm going to take this damn octopus and I'm going to use it to get what I want. In some way, this octopus is going to be useful to me.
I feel like this might be a situation where like he has to like put together an annual report back to the government about how he used the resources that they gave him. And
the octopus was instrumental in achieving
like
our
how
first
did
quarter
you make
goals.
use of the giant octopus? And he was like, well, in fact,
working in close collaboration with Dr. Porkyevich, my lab.
I can't imagine the nature of the budget justification that had to be submitted to transport the giant octopus to the French Riviera.
Winning the war. Easy peasy.
Yeah. Eisenhower signed off on it at some level.
Did anyone understand the RHIP?
Rank has its privilege.
Oh.
Or rank hath its privileges in the British idiom.
Okay, sure.
I see. Okay, well, that was more straightforward than I thought.
Here is another Katya fit, though. She is in a long Medici gown of sea green velvet. The argument that I'm trying to build here is that she keeps like crossing all of these like antique decades with her outfits. Like here, she's in this sort of like Renaissance get up. A little later on, we'll get there sometime soon, but like she's also wearing this sort of like antique garment in her room when Slothrop gets there. There is a very like V-esque quality to her.
Woman crossing the decade, because she was Victorian, now she's Medici. Yeah.
Yeah.
Think so. Wouldn't have had her own clothes, right? Like she fled the bad guy whose name I've forgotten. Blacaro. Do we think I feel like
where she only ever wore costumes, pretty much.
Right.
It should also be said.
Do we think do you know that I don't know if it's apocryphal, but that anecdote about the first woman who goes to space and the NASA engineers are like, how many tampons should we send you? Like 1,000? And they're only going to be in space for like 4 days. And they want to send up just a ridiculous number of tampons. I feel like she knows that she needs some nice clothes. And she's
going to the Riviera.
She goes to General Pudding and is like, well, someone needs to get me a dress because I don't have any nice clothes. And then this is what they scrounge up. Just the most over the top antique. Like we went to our mom's house and found this nice dress from the 1860s and brought it and have supplied you with nice clothes, quote unquote.
That's an extremely good read, because this is what Slothrop puts together when he's tooling around in the closet a little later on, is he smells Says,
He like realizes they're not really her clothes.
yeah, operational scent here is carbon tet. The wardrobe here is mostly props, which is like used to be an industrial kind of like stain remover and dry cleaning agent. So yeah, I think that's a good read.
Yeah.
They just sent her here with like
A ridiculous wardrobe.
or also just like a theater's wardrobe
like a-
closet.
They just
of-
went
Yeah.
to a theater and were like, we need the dress rack. Please.
Yeah, and they're like, well, we did The Merchant of Venice a few seasons ago. Do you want this? Yeah, I think that's a great read.
We skipped over a cookbook item.
Yep. Crab. Raw.
Porkyovich has a little moment where he's sort of reminiscing on Russia. Thinking of fresh shellfish, a warm pirojok, hot glasses of tea in the evenings. I'm going to be honest, it's around dinner time. I looked up a pirojok. It looks delicious. It's like a little hand pie. Would
Say,
put that up
ooh.
there in the ranking of the items in the Thomas Pynchon cookbook.
Mm-hmm.
I put a picture in general.
Wikipedia explains that it is not to be confused with pierogi,
Well, it doesn't look like a pierogi.
which is
it's like a
itself
hand
not to
pie.
be confused with pirog.
A pierogi's a dumpling.
Yeah, well,
Have soggy if you had to hold it in your hand. Not at all like a hand pie. Crisp
Um,
and warm.
they go out down to dinner, the gang, which is where they see Katya. The Slothrop is wearing a genuine hand-painted tie, also from his brother's Aloha souvenirs. There is some soup that shows up that says he goes at as if disarming a bomb.
Unfortunately, no details on the soup, so
No, just soup.
just soup.
Katya's talking to this general about golf, holes and hazards, his golf course in Cornwall, but keeps rubbing Slothrop's knee.
Uh-oh.
At which point they burst into, or Slothrop bursts into the Ballad of Tantivy Mucker Maffick. It's a song everybody knows.
Of course.
Everybody in Pynchon knows every song. There is not a single song no one has heard.
They're not like, what's this one? What's he singing?
This even goes back to the who the band in Lot 49, the Paranoids,
Mm.
Yeah.
who are like absolutely no name, but have tons of people show up to their concert to like get pissed drunk.
I feel like, in many ways, Pynchon writes the world as it is, but I feel like maybe in a few ways he writes the world as he wants it to be. Like, what a nice world if everyone always knew what song you were singing and joined in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Ballad of Tantivy is about how drunk Tantivy gets in his worldly travels.
A real boozer.
Yep.
But it sounds like he has a good time.
Yeah.
And Slothrop basically started this whole song so that he could whisper to Katya or have Katya whisper to him.
He wants to give them an excuse to have a quick word.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she invites him to meet up in her room after midnight.
This whole section feels very like old Hollywood. I mean, old Hollywood general, but like it's old Hollywood, both like kind of noirish spy type thing, but also old Hollywood, like Marx Brothers slapstick in places.
Is Slothrop Clark Gable?
I have a different theory on who Slothrop is. We'll get there in a second.
I want to point out that as far as everyone singing this song, there is at the top of page 194, there are what sound like 100, but most likely only 2. So it might just be Tantivy and Bloat that are singing.
Very
they're just
loudly.
really-
I think it's
carrying
only.
it.
I thought it was only 2 Welshmen. So it sound like 100, but most likely only 2 Welshmen singing. Because there's a Scotsman who goes down to the piano to start playing it. I assumed that this was like, we already met one loud Welshman in the case of Gwyn Hydwy earlier.
Being foiled by the various British identities.
Yeah, it's difficult when we're not quite as aware of, is there a stereotype of the Welsh being really loud? Or maybe very quiet, and this is ironic. I don't know.
Joe, please leave a comment on this episode telling us if the Welsh are loud.
Not our only British listener, as far as I'm aware, but let's see. This is the toilet stalls with brass voice tubes in the ladies' room. Listen, Slothrop says, talking to Tantivy, either I'm coming down with a little psychosis here or something funny is going on, right?
Yeah, and they have a little back and forth, and Tantivy's like, maybe you're just being paranoid, but then Tantivy kind of comes around to thinking that maybe something is up, and maybe that he's also being spied on.
This, you can do a lot of things at the seaside that you can't do in town. I thought surely was a fake song, but it is a real song.
Tantivy lets Slothrop know that Bloat has had some encrypted messages and reminds him that he does work with the Supreme Headquarters and not just with Octung.
Yeah. Which is, well, I guess he doesn't really, Bloat isn't really associated with Octung. Because that's why he's sneaking into Octung to take the pictures.
Oh, yeah.
He's...
Octung seems to just be Tantivy and Tyrone.
Right. Bloat is with, like, the professionals.
Yeah.
The big guns, not with little old Octung.
Yeah.
And then Tantivy, this is Tantivy? Yeah. Yeah, Tantivy is sort of speculating and thinking that like maybe Bloat has only been using him this whole time, even from back when they were like college buddies. And he says, I don't know if you ever felt it at Harvard. From time to time back in Oxford, I came to sense a peculiar structure that no one admitted to, that extended far beyond Turl Street, past Corn Market, into covenants, procuring, accounts due. One never knew who it would be or when or how they'd try to collect it. But I thought it only idle, only at the fringes of what I was really up there for, you know. And then Slothrop goes, sure, in that America, it's the first thing they tell you. Harvard's there for other reasons. The educating part of it is just sort of a front.
I found this really funny.
Yeah, which I thought was funny. And also, like, reminiscent of other discussions of there being sort of like a larger game afoot, like a different structure at play with the war, for example. Like the whole war, the whole fighting part of a war is just a front for like the markets, for example.
Which is also what the front of the university, the like edifice of higher learning, is also the front for developing markets into new directions, covenants, procuring, accounts due. It's to introduce movers and shakers to each other at a young age, get them drunk, and then also make sure they all have blackmail on each other. That's the real secret.
Mm-hmm.
They go gambling in the Himmler Spielsaal, or the Himmler game room.
Like Baccarat. Love Baccarat.
Shout out to Baccarat.
Geese Lane, the one who mentioned Little Tyrone, seems to have disappeared.
Yeah, as has Bloat. People just like coming and going.
But like in an ominous way.
At least going. We've not seen a lot of people coming back.
Yeah, Slothrop upset, like wonders whether Geese Lane, he ponders, is she safe?
Did I have a note here? Oh yeah, I do have one about football. Slothrop gives Tantivy a quick affectionate punch in the shoulder that like a football coach once gave to him to give him a little bit of courage before a play. Choate, mentioned here, was the boys' preparatory school of Wallingford, Connecticut, now Choate Rosemary Hall. Indeed, John F. Kennedy attended Choate when Slothrop would have been attending his school. In football, this is the part I found really interesting, red dogging is the now archaic term for an all-out defensive rush on the quarterback or backs, known in post-World War II jargon as a blitz.
Oh.
But it wasn't called the blitz yet because
wow.
they didn't have a blitz.
That
That
makes sense.
is fascinating.
It's a really little.
That's wow. That's
you know,
really
sometimes Weisenberger knocks it out of the park, and I'm like, I'm glad I read that. That's delicious.
Start using red dogged in conversation. People won't know what it is. And I'll get to sound smart when I explain it.
Yeah. Here, Slothrop goes up the stairs. I like this parenthetical. Welcome, Mr. Slothrop. Welcome to our structure. We hope you will enjoy your visit here.
Yeah, which calls back to the structure of the university. Like, I can sense a particular structure that no one admitted to.
Mm-hmm. And then at Concha's door, she wears a white pelisse with sequins all over, padded shoulders, jagged white ostrich plumes at the neckline and wrists.
Evening wear for lounging.
Yeah. Why not?
Patrick, did you at certain points, like maybe starting around this section where we're in the casino, and there's a lot of like gilded decor in different places, and like red carpets and ascending into spaces and exclusive spaces. Were you getting like a eyes wide shut vibe?
I was more thinking The Shining, but yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I think this all has Kubrick written all over it. But like the scenes where Jack Torrance is like hallucinating the hotel like in its prime, when he goes into the ballroom, and at first he goes in and it's all empty, but then he goes back and it's filled with people, the ghosts.
I was thinking more of the eyes wide shut, like entering into exclusive spaces, or like a structure operating behind the scenes.
Seeing the structure.
Seeing
You're like,
the
oh,
structure.
this is the structure.
Yeah,
I'm
or
in
like
the structure. Wait,
you end up in a place where you're like, oh, I'm in over my head.
Look, we could watch Eyes Wide Shut for a Patreon movie. Upcoming Christmas movie? We'll see. It's become a tradition for me. No, I think that's a good comparison. So this, I would like to make a pitch on who I think should play Tyrone Slothrop in a movie version.
Go for it.
And it relates to a sort of conversational or a speaking quirk that Pynchon outlines for us a couple times here in Slothrop's dialogue. And it seems like I'm not the first person to make this comparison, so I'm in good company here. But I think Slothrop, for the rest of this book, is just going to be Jimmy Stewart in my brain.
What?
Okay?
No.
Please, listener, pardon, Duri, pardon my attempt here, but...
Oh, no. This is just an excuse for you to do your Jimmy Stewart impression.
Katja says, oh, you think I'm more than I am, gliding to a couch, tucking one leg under? I know, you're a Dutch milkmaid or something. Closet full of those starched aprons and wooden shoes, right? Come on. It's right there. It's right there, black and white, in the text. You're looking at me with a face like you know I'm right.
I think I agree that he just wanted to do the impression.
Thank you, Andrew.
Didn't know you were so daffy about that golf. You can imagine Jimmy doing it. Come on.
I guess so. I was picturing more of a Clark Gable. Or like, who's the other leading man?
The third one?
The third
Humphrey
one.
Bogart?
Not Humphrey Bogart.
You just Googling classic Hollywood leading men?
Sinatra.
What, Are you thinking of Rock Hudson? Who are you thinking of?
I don't know.
Cary
Cary
Grant.
Cary
Yeah,
Grant.
you're
I'm
thinking
thinking
of
of
Cary
Cary Grant. Yeah.
I could see Slothrop as Cary Grant. Sort of an arsenic and old lace style Cary
Yeah.
Grant. Yeah.
Falling all over everything. I could see that.
I'm sticking with Jimmy Stewart, but make up your own mind, listener. Andrew, do you have any classic Hollywood leading men you want to cast as Slothrop right about now?
I can't say I do. I'm going to be honest.
Okay, we'll circle
ponder.
back
I'll
by
circle
the time
back,
we
circle
finish the
back.
book. Yeah. This is where Slothrop finds the crowded maze of satins, taffetas, lawn and pongee, dark fur collars and trimming, buttons, sashes, passementerie, soft, confusing, womanly tunnel systems that must stretch back for miles. This is also how I feel sometimes reading Thomas Pynchon when he goes into extreme detail on the varieties of women's nightwear. Sometimes I think he's just like showing off that he knows a lot of words for undergarments.
Yeah, and he recognizes that these are possibly props. And we start to get some sinister descriptions.
He suspects that Katja got out of the Netherlands by way of Arnhem, which would have been Operation Market Garden, but that is not the case. We know she was picked up by Prentice more recently.
He tries singing.
Another foxtrot.
But then, like, there's this I thought very sinister paragraph where
Skin stuff.
they like come together, but it says like she reaches out a hand, melting toward him as he topples in slow motion toward her mouth. Feathers sliding, sleeves furling, ascending bare arms finely moon-grained, slipping around and up his back, her tacky tongue nervous as a moth, his hands rasping over sequins. Then her breasts flatten against him as her forearms and hands go away, folding up behind her to find a zipper, bringing it snarling down her spine line, which is kind of like, I mean, it's this like sexual description, but aspects of it where he was sort of like toppling towards her, not unlike a V2 rocket, in free fall, like being pulled towards her, like without a choice, and then like snarling down her spine.
There's
I
a
feel
lot
like
of animalistic language here. We get moths, we get snarling.
Well, and her body is described numerous times throughout this whole segment as like animalistic, beast-like. Like there are different, like I think at one point it describes her as having flanks.
The sort of the muzzle and lower jaw stuff was to me reminiscent of all the werewolf talk we had in V.
Yeah, there's a lot of like animal imagery with
it's also
Katja.
Katja thus far has been associated with a lot of like fairy tale folkloric imagery, and it feels almost like Big Bad Wolf-esque.
Yeah, or like some sort of temptress.
Succubus.
Yeah. I mean, she is kind of portrayed as like a mermaid, even like when she's in the like water with being pulled in by the octopus.
They say that it looks like she came out of the sea.
Yeah, she's giving sort of like what are the mean mermaids?
Sirens?
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Slothrop's undoing his belt buttons and shoelaces, hopping 1 foot at a time. Oh boy, oh boy.
That part did feel a little Jimmy Stewart. I'll give that to you.
Has Jimmy Stewart ever been in a sex scene? I can't think of one, but I don't know that they had those back in his heyday.
Maybe not in It's a Wonderful Life. And then, yeah, but the moonlight only whitens her back, and there's still a dark side, her ventral side, her face that he can no longer see, a terrible beast-like change coming over muzzle and lower jaw, black pupils growing to cover the entire eye space until whites are gone, and there's only the red animal reflection. When the light comes to strike, no telling when the light... That's horrifying.
The light, that feels like the bombs. No telling when the light will strike.
Oh.
I just put that together as well, as you read it. So,
But yeah, her face, like the facial transformation is spooky.
mm-hmm.
Pynchon loves a creepy face.
Loves a creepy face, loves a creepy woman.
It's a creepy child.
Yeah.
Just likes creepy stuff.
Yeah, this relates to the next paragraph in sort of like the midst of their coitus, where she has turned her head away from him and he grabs her by the hair and tries to keep her head from turning away, needing to see her face. This is suddenly a struggle, vicious and real. She will not surrender her face. Which felt, given that we have mostly associated Katya with sort of like games and disguises and also sexual power dynamics, this felt resonant.
Mm-hmm.
And then she starts laughing after they orgasm together.
Yeah, the laughing really stood out to me. I guess working under the assumption that Katya is in on the conspiracy, but this laughing made it, I guess, feel like she was actually having a good time and not just sort of doing her part in the conspiracy. I guess it could be interesting to see how that unfolds going forward.
That's certainly what Slothrop would like to hope. It's like,
Yeah.
I hope that was really good for you. And which certainly wasn't just part of the conspiracy that clearly seems to be ensnaring me.
True, maybe I'm naive.
I mean, we know that it is, like, it feels more genuine because we kind of get a glimpse into Katya's head. She who never laughs has become the top surface of a deep rising balloon of laughter.
And balloons are usually nice things in Pynchon. He likes balloons.
We've seen warp balloons in this book.
A balloon girl.
Oh yeah, the fat and friendly balloons floating above Roger and Jessica's house. Yeah.
And then you get this great description relating falling asleep to the V2, where it's sort of you fall asleep quietly and then all of a sudden you start snoring, and that's how you know someone's fallen asleep, by the sound that occurs afterwards.
Damn.
Is it the
So true.
the John, wait, no, who's the you fall asleep slowly and then all at once?
Yeah, that's Fault in Our Stars.
Yeah, okay, that is John
Yeah.
Green. Yeah, it's kind of like that.
And then we get a nice little pillow fight.
Yeah, she like is annoyed with his snoring and they get in a pillow fight.
She sprays seltzer at him. One of those old school Looney Tune cartoon seltzer spraying bottles, I assume.
If you just look up like slapstick Marx Brothers seltzer bottle, I found like this web page. I'll see if I can track it down again. But it was just like a little web page of a bunch of different movies that have seltzer bottle scenes in them from like the 30s and 40s.
Well, and I feel like this whole section, I felt kind of like Slothrop is having almost like a lucid dream where he realizes that things are just like very weird around him. Like they feel like a movie or like a set. At a certain points here, I thought we would like realize that Slothrop was dreaming like we did in the Kenosha Kid chapter. But that never happened. But he's like, the what? The seltzer bottle? What shit is this now? What other interesting props have they thought to plant? And what other American reflexes are they after? Where's those banana cream pies, eh? So he's like fully aware that this is bizarre and is like offering sort of like break the fourth wall commentary as he's like in the moment. He's like, I'm sorry, what? A seltzer bottle?
Not the seltzer bottle routine, yeah.
But then like proceeds to engage in it anyways.
Yeah. Grabs what does he grab? Some brown liquor.
Brandy,
yeah.
He ends up under, well, they both end up under a red tablecloth. It felt sort of like bullfighting to me for a moment.
Mm-hmm.
Where they're he's like kind of chasing her and she's waving a big red tablecloth.
And they both end up under it.
Charisma vibes.
Do you want to explain for listeners who haven't read V who Charisma is?
There's really not much to explain. Charisma was a character in V that was often under a blanket and often having sex under a blanket.
Who is he having sex under a blanket with sometimes, Duri?
Mafia?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that's about it. Like, it wasn't a deeper
And the less
connection.
you know about her, the better.
Yeah, don't
Yeah.
ask who Mafia is.
There's I'll read the Weisenberger reference here about the My Little Chickadee line. Did y'all look this up?
No.
Good. Then I can explain it. This is W.C. Fields' line as Cuthbert J. Twilly to Mae West, playing Flower Belle Lee, in the film My Little Chickadee, 1940. Miss Lee requires a consort for legal reasons and takes on Twilly, but through a series of hoaxes, she frustrates his hope of a consummated marriage. In one scene, she leaves a goat behind in her bed in the dark. Twilly makes florid declarations of passion to the blanketed animal, as Slothrop describes it here. So Koch's seen movies, as has Slothrop, doing a very kind of like, we're just like doing a bit. They know what they're doing.
And they fall asleep together in kind of a sweet way.
Est against the S of himself, yeah.
And then he wakes up to the sound of his clothing being stolen and scoots from under the tablecloth just in time to see a large foot in a two-tone shoe, coffee and indigo, vanish out the door, which felt to me like very spy novel. Like, all I saw was the shoe. Everybody pull out their shoes. Like, it felt very like Knives Out to me.
Yeah, it's very whodunit. Like,
Yeah.
who... The murderer is in this room.
I'm looking for a two-tone shoe.
And then this just becomes, again, like a Marx Brothers or like Pink Panther scene of like, I'm naked, I grab a bed sheet, I'm running down the halls. We see a tiny head that appears around a corner. A tiny hand comes out, gives Slothrop the tiny finger, which is interesting.
Slothrop comes out onto a terrace where there's a tree, and he climbs up the tree. And when he gets to the very top, realizes that the pants thief probably climbed down the tree, not up the tree. And at that point, the top of the tree sort of cracks off and he falls. And unlike Teddy Bloat, who got caught by Pirate in the opening of the novel,
Oh, yeah.
he falls all the way to the ground. And then there's two very funny women playing croquet next to him who are really just having a great time laughing about it.
I liked Slothrop's reflex as he's falling. He closes his eyes and tries to imagine a tropical island, a secure room where this cannot be happening.
I feel like I've definitely done that in like dreams where I'm falling. And I often have dreams where I fall and I'll be like falling and plummeting somewhere and I just like, it's inevitably like you're inevitably going to hit the ground and like wake up and you'll just like picture something else to not feel the like fear.
Yeah, I like that he opens his eyes right about the time he hits the ground. Also feels sort of like flash of light, things hitting the ground, bombs going off.
Oh yeah, he does like literally fall
Yeah.
due to gravity.
Getting a lot of things up coming down in this book.
Yeah.
Anyone noticing that theme? It's Slothrop, says Bloat. He's wearing a purple sheet. Yeah, the two women who are playing croquet make each other laugh a lot. They're clutching each other for dear life.
Pretending not to see Slothrop and then riffing on what would happen if this was still Germany.
Well, you see, somebody swiped all my clothes and I was just on my way to complain to the management.
Oh God, it's gonna go on for another 600 pages.
No, just this episode. I
Yeah.
had to rule of 3 it to complete the joke.
I bet you Jimmy Stewart comes back in a different episode.
Jimmy Stewart will return in Pynchon Pals episode 20.
No one seems like as concerned about Slothrop as maybe they should be. Like he just fell out of what seemed like kind of a tall tree. He's extremely sore.
But just as expected, probably. They might all know this was going to happen.
I guess so. And they're just like, oh, well, we'll get you some clothes. And Teddy Bloat gets him a British uniform.
It's like Looney Tunes characters and Thomas Pynchon characters don't get injured from
Yeah.
falls. Like
He
this
just has like
this,
the little thing circling above his head.
Yeah, the little like chirp, chirp, chirp.
when you're in slapstick mode, you can't be hurt. You just get banged around really hard.
Yeah, what are the rules of the Wile E. Coyote
Yeah, exactly.
cartoons?
Just like that. There's no blood in a Pynchon novel.
Hang on. Sorry. I just want to read these real quick. Tell me how much each one of these sounds like it could be a rule for Gravity's Rainbow. Roadrunner cannot harm the coyote except by going beep beep. No outside force can harm the coyote, only his own ineptitude or the failure of the Acme products. The coyote could stop any time if he were not a fanatic. Repeat, a fanatic is one who redoubles his effort when he has forgotten his aim. George Santayana. How much does that sound like Pisces?
Yeah.
No dialogue ever except beep beep. That one doesn't really apply.
All of the rest of the book. Beep, beep,
Beep,
beep, beep.
beep. The roadrunner must stay on the road. Otherwise, logically, he would not be called a roadrunner. You know, people are conditioned to do what they do. All action must be confined to the natural environment of the two characters, the Southwest American desert. Not really.
They just
all
changed
materials-
it to Western Europe.
Yeah, to the natural environment.
We do have that Western moment in
That's true.
Slothrop's Dream.
All materials, tools, weapons, or mechanical conveniences must be obtained from the Acme Corporation or IG Farben, as the case may be. Here's Rule 8, wherever possible, make gravity the coyote's greatest enemy.
Wow. Yeah.
Rule number 9, the coyote is always more humiliated than harmed by his failures. We'll see.
Yeah.
Gravity seems like the greatest enemy at the very least.
And on the subject of humiliation, I feel like this is the culmination of Slothrop's sort of wardrobe fall from grace. He has had his beautiful Hawaiian shirt stolen. His identity has been taken away, and he's forced to wear this like British uniform that doesn't fit him very well.
I like every stitch of clothing he owns is gone, including his Hawaiian shirt. What the fuck?
Yeah, and somewhere it says he's most upset about the shirt.
It's his brother sent it to him. It means something to Slothrop.
Well, and I feel like it's also a symbol of his like individuality and free will. Like he wears the shirt in spite of the other people saying that he shouldn't wear the shirt, and now he's like in a literal uniform.
No, it's a British uniform too, right? Like he's like the Hawaiian shirt is that's like that's an American
very
symbol.
American.
Yeah, like once he gets
go ahead, Andrew.
I was gonna say once he gets into the British military uniform, he immediately starts like catching flack from the other British officers who yell at him
for not
saluting properly. And he's like now wandering around because Slothrop has realized that Tantivy has also disappeared, and there was like no sign of Tantivy in Bloat's room, and Bloat was being very cagey about where Tantivy was. And so he's also looking for Tantivy at this point because Tantivy's disappeared, as well as all of the girls who are with Tantivy, including Ghislaine.
Well, and the last thing that Tantivy said was like, hey, if you need help, come find me.
Yeah, and he considered Tantivy to be like an ally, where he saw Bloat as an enemy, and Tantivy has mysteriously vanished.
Yeah,
I'm worried for Tantivy.
Me too.
There's this exchange in Bloat's room where Slothrop asks, did Tantivy move out or what? And he says, maybe he's out with Francois or whoever. And they sort of go back and forth, and they both say sort of, you're his friend. And then Bloat says back, aren't you? Sinister.
Very.
His longtime bud. He's turned on.
And Slothrop, anyway, so leaving Bloat's room, kind of yelled at by this guy for not saluting. he kind of goes into an Oedipus Moss moment.
Called a Nazi, or it says that he's been trained by Nazis because they didn't teach him how to salute.
But I feel like he falls into an Oedipus-esque spiral where he just sort of begins to wander.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And like his paranoia sort of steadily increases as he wanders the casino and surrounding area.
Casino is a good place to have sort of like a paranoid mental breakdown, in that they are sort of designed to break people of their inhibitions and better judgment.
Yeah. I assume the casinos are similar to now, where it's like, no clocks. They're sort of outside of time, perfect for spiraling. If you can't tell time is passing, how long have you been spiraling?
Doesn't the clock work weird earlier?
Yeah. Well, they talk about it, a clock like ticking backwards minutes into the past.
Yeah. Yeah, it's midnight, but it says, but the clock over the bar only clicks once, then presently again, ratcheting time minute-wise into their past at like 11:59 or whatever.
Which I don't think is I don't think that the clock is still moving forward. Right?
Yeah,
but
I
like
guess
the
that's true.
time is what's moving back, or time is moving into the past.
Yeah. This is where Slothrop is wondering who sits in the taller chairs. Do they have names? What lies on their smooth beige surfaces?
This was the part that felt very eyes wide shut to me.
Mm-hmm.
He talks about like all the like sort of gilded touches, the velvet, the silver bells, the ebony handles, murals, brass colored light. I feel like maybe this combined with the clothing that Katya is wearing, they all call back to kind of like different gilded ages. Like
turn of the century, Belle Epoque kind
Yeah.
of. Yeah. Pre-war, pre-both wars.
Yeah. Or what was the dress that was
The Medici dress.
Medici?
Yeah, like a Renaissance thing. This is also, they're like in Europe here. And the Brits are also kind of out of place here.
Yeah.
Like Slothrop is out of place because he's like the lone American. At least the British have each other. But like the Brits are also here in this very Mediterranean European setting. And Katya is also out of place from, the Northern European side of things.
Yeah, it just feels very like gilded, like old money wealth.
Aristocratic.
Aristocratic, Thank you.
The paraphernalia of an order whose presence among the ordinary debris of waking he has only lately begun to suspect.
And what was this weird bit about the chains? That was spooky.
Weisenberger has a bit on that about... he writes, given these hooks' appearance in the Himmler Spielsaal with its Nazi foolishness, recall that Hitler's regime sometimes executed prisoners by hanging them from meat hooks. In 1943, the execution chamber at Plotznesse prison just outside of Berlin was rigged for this purpose with 8 hooks and used to execute high-profile political prisoners and alleged spies.
Okay, yeah, that's just as sinister as I thought it was going to be.
Yep. Also sinister is this business about the Forbidden Wing that Slothrop starts kind of singing to himself. And this idea of the forbidden wing of something that he is trespassing in or not allowed to go in. Yeah, it feels very eyes wide shut.
Yeah.
Dust and residues, what game do they deal? I like that the only thing American Slothrop can do against all this is just whisper, fuck you, as he's walking around.
And like picture like scrawling that like graffiti next to quote one of those little pink shepherdesses there.
Which is what Benny Profane does on the
boat,
Susanna Squaducci.
Yeah, you're right. Like in the face of extreme wealth and like a structure that you're not included in, just like write some profane graffiti.
Yep. We get another use of the word ventral here, which was an unusual enough word that I noted it appeared twice in only like 10 pages. But here it's the ventral half were being struck in a kingly radiance, where Katya's ventral side was like shadowed.
Guess that means on the front side of the body.
Yeah.
Ventral and dorsal, yeah.
Ventral and dorsal. Yeah, I guess the like animalistic kind of description of the body.
Yeah, it's very scientific to talk about something, or like medical.
Kind of how Pointsman might describe Slothrop's body.
This Bois de Boulogne refers to a Paris promenade, well known as Weisenberg notes, like sex workers and sort of ill repute. This is an allusion to the lyrics of a turn of the century music hall song called "The Man Who Broke the Bank at Monte Carlo," which has the lyric "As I walk along the Bois de Boulogne." Not spelled. This is more of an Americanized phonetic rendering. And then we get this business about the Puritans.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting in this, like, basically talks about this ship going backwards. So
The film reel gets reversed again.
yeah, basically the film reel gets reversed of the Slothrops coming over from Britain to America, and now we're like reversing it. It's a film reel, but also a painting, because they describe like the cherubs that are often in paintings, where like the cherubs are sort of like blowing out of their mouths and like inflating the sails, and it describes the cherubs as instead like sucking in their cheeks.
Yeah, and like
Slothrop also makes this face earlier. He like puffs out his cheeks and goes cross-eyed, I think, somewhere. What are you saying, Andrew?
oh, just yeah, they're sucking the boat back across the ocean.
I have to see where the that face shows up.
While you're looking for that, like there's just this, I think, running theme that has come up in our earlier discussions of the like elect and the preterite. And I mean, I think we're seeing that in Slothrop's wandering through these halls and feeling like there is an elect that he's not a part of. But then in this description of the boat, it describes like the elder or the ancestral Slothrop as being like a mess cook.
Mm-hmm.
And then describing that in contrast to the more elect specifically.
Yeah, the Winthrops being a real, very prominent New England family. You want to know another family that came over on some of these boats?
Pensions.
Who?
The Pynchons. Aside from the remarkable extended use of hysteron proteron in this paragraph, which is putting like a rhetorical device about putting the logical second thing first, like the cart before the horse, with its image of sailing backward. John Winthrop, his flagship was the Arabella. Thomas Pynchon's ancestor, William, was aboard the Ambrose, serving as rear admiral of the four-ship fleet. Along with other Puritan leaders, William Pynchon came aboard the Arabella once during the journey, about halfway across when Winthrop invited the other patentees to dine with him. According to Samuel Eliot Morrison, from the article William Pynchon, they were each rowed to the flagship during a small gale. Pynchon imagines the scene, heaving swells and a spilled pewter kettle, and William Slothrop in attendance as a mess cook.
They chose the gale to row across to each other to go to dinner. I mean, I guess you're probably not. You're not sailing forward as fast during a gale, so you might as well. I guess if you live on these ships, maybe a small gale's not that big a deal.
Governor Winthrop calls, you come a rowing.
There's this line at the end of this paragraph: "Presto changeo, Tyrone Slothrop's English again." Of course, he's been reduced to physically wearing an English uniform at this point.
Yeah. When I was looking up William Pynchon, I learned that he also has he was like one of the founding members of what is it? What was the town that the like real Boston area suburb that the Kenosha Kid takes place in? Do you remember? Something Massachusetts?
I do not remember.
Maybe it was in my chapter summary. In any case, William Pynchon like was one of the founding funders of that town. So a lot of wrestling with
Sperry.
Roxbury. Yeah, Roxbury. Yeah, William Pynchon was involved in the founding of Roxbury. What other things are going here? Duri, you were always talking about Pynchon loving shows within shows, or sort of stories within stories, and at the casino they are doing an abbreviated version of L'inutile Precauzione, which is a show within the show of The Barber of Seville. So they're just doing the show in the opera.
The show. Interesting. Yeah. I liked I thought it was interesting, the description says it's here that saturation hits him. It's all this playing games, too much of it, too many games. I feel like that.
Him and Concha are on the level on that front.
Yeah. They're both kind of tired of the game. Or the games. And it is all kind of a game. Like, he's recognizing this all as some sort of like play that he's sort of, I mean, maybe that's something with the play that's being performed. Like, Slothrop is recognizing that he's in some sort of play or some sort of game, playing at something.
We even get a little shade of Jessica Swanlake. At once, Slothrop understood that he is surrounded by women who have lived a good fraction of their lives at war and under occupation, and for whom people have been dropping out of sight every day.
I'm kind of jumping around, but I liked Pynchon's phrase, a silkenness of girls. Is there a name for that, like a murder of crows or a gaggle of geese?
There is collective names. Yeah. I thought there was a better word for it than that.
Anyways, I liked a silkenness of girls.
Yeah, just like collective names, I guess.
It's raining.
It's raining, and the Forbidden Wing is back. Suddenly speaking out of the Forbidden Wing directly to him about the game Slothrop has been playing against the Invisible House, perhaps after all for his soul.
Feels very Faustian.
House always wins.
House always wins. This whole section reminded me that we were reading the book Gravity's Rainbow. I think the preceding 20 pages were a little bit of a break from the novel Gravity's Rainbow thus far, and here it's like, oh, don't worry. You're still in it, bud.
This isn't V. It's not going to end with slapstick. You gotta get back to it at some point. This is our literal vacation. We're reading about his vacation. This is our vacation from the book.
We took a little vacation, and then he stumbles back to Katya because he doesn't know anywhere else to go.
Also feels very Hollywood. Knock on the door, Slothrop soaking wet.
Well, and he's been stripped of his entire identity. Like, he has nothing left of his own. He has nothing left of his identity. Even his friend has been stripped from him, and all that's left is like this woman that was introduced into his life by the powers that be.
And it's not just his identity, but it's every last bit of paper, which reminded me of Slothrop's family sort of lost fortune in the paper industry.
Yeah.
And also his family has run out of money, so they have in fact lost all of their paper. That's where we end for this evening.
I think we found enough to talk about.
Yeah. Do we have any final thoughts on this section here?
This was a good bit.
Good section. Nice job, Thomas. We'll see you next week.
10 out of 10.
I'm interested to see if there's any mirrors to Benny and Rachel and Katya and Slothrop. I feel like Slothrop, we can give him the sort of lovable fuck up tag, and Katya has got her head on her shoulders, it seems.
You know, a yo-yo is kind of like a V2 rocket.
In what way? Explain
Gravity.
That. It goes down.
And then
falls.
It comes back at you.
Yeah. It's just like upside down V2 rocket. Like it's sort of a parabola going the other direction.
Yeah. Okay. Sure.
There's
Yes.
sort of, I don't know what
Parabola
the
going the
physics
other
term is,
direction.
but like the force pulls it back up.
Yeah. Is this the
after it
first?
falls.
Is this the first rain we've gotten in a book called Gravity's Rainbow?
Maybe. I feel like you guys did not like my yo-yo analogy.
I'm struggling with it. Like an upside down parabola. It goes down and comes back up like a yo-yo.
My problem is that the yo-yo comes back to the person who throws it, which is not ideally what the V2 does.
Although we do know that a
It
lot
did,
of the
yeah.
V2s
We'll probably
did
find out
explode
about
on
that
the people who threw it.
in our
Yeah.
Patreon episode for April or for May of 2026.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'll keep pondering this.
Yeah, keep thinking about it. Yo-Yo Dine. Where do they get all their ideas from? This feels like such like we've divided this section so that we're talking about like a fewer pages per episode, but it just feels like you look at the book and I have like little tabs marking most of the sections off. And like you look at it and it's just such a small little section and I'm like, what could possibly go on here in this little bit? It feels notable that it is set off from the previous section. I don't know if we could have jumped straight from Roger fretting about Jessica drifting away from him straight to like Slothrop in the Riviera without a significant kind of
Party on the
section
beach.
break. Yeah. I feel like that would be a little more than the little film sprockets can convey, but this is also the first episode coming out after Thomas Pynchon's birthday. Happy birthday, Thomas Pynchon.
Happy birthday,
Birthday,
Thomas
Thomas
Pynchon.
89
It was on
years?
Yeah,
Or 83 years?
89.
89 years young.
Wow.
May 8th, 1937. I forgot to actually text y'all on his birthday because I didn't know it was his birthday until after it happened and I saw someone talk about it. But happy birthday, Thomas. Hope you're doing well. We eagerly await your Christmas card. And just leave us your address on it and we'll get it back to you. All right. Let's wrap there. Thank you for listening to Pynchon Pals. And thank you, as always, to Andrew Tillett.
Thank you.
And to Duri Long
Thank you.
for joining me. If you like what we're doing here, we would love it if you left us a review on Apple Podcasts or on your podcatcher of choice. On our next episode, we will be reading sequences 2.3 through 2.5, so stop at 2.6. It's about like the next, it's like 40 pages or so it's a little bit longer. If you'd like to get in touch with the show or submit a question to be answered on air, you can reach us at pynchonpals@gmail.com. Like I said, we've stockpiled a couple that we are hanging on to for a rainy day. Not this rainy day, though. Slothrop's got enough stuff going on. To support the work we do here, you can head to patreon.com/pynchonpals. And once again, sign up to listen to us talk about V2 documentaries. Check the show notes for details on those. Our theme music is Horology by the inimitable King Gizzard and the Litters. This many episodes, I finally messed that up. Our theme music is Horology by the inimitable King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard, released under a Creative Commons Attribution No Derivatives license on the album Polygon Dwanaland. Pynchon Pals is produced and edited by me, Patrick Fiorilli. You can find more of my work alongside my newsletter, Critical Theory Craft, at my website, www.patf.io. Until next time. I throw to you for this. I don't come up with anything. My mind is blank when I'm doing the outro, clearly.
I don't have a lot. I was trying to come up with something related to
Is
the
there something
reading.
about is there a see you later alligators for octopuses?
Adios, octopus.
Can you
There's
try that one
probably-
again and make it sound better?
Adios, octopus.
That's good.
I don't know. That sounded better. Octopus out.
No, we'll cut that one. I don't think that one's
bad. Yeah.
I liked
Is there
Adios
a-
Octopus
I thought
better.
you were supposed to yes and me.
Yeah, but not that. We're not on the podcast anymore. We already cut. We're done.
Goodbye Octopi. No, that's really bad.
Ooh. I feel like that's better than Adios Octopus.
I like Adios Octopus.
I think you got to go adios octopus, not adios octopus. Is there a good like cephalopod? Is there something that rhymes with cephalopod?
It's a nod, cephalopod.
We'll get it. We'll figure it out.
Call us mollusk.
That's
Ooh.
pretty good. I like that. I like Call Us Mollusk.
Wow.
Duri's been wondering if she could podcast from the floor of the office instead.
It's very someone. I don't know who it is, but I do feel like there's a certain like podcast that's mostly partaken in via YouTube that has sort of a lay down extreme recline aesthetic.
Not us. We stand stock straight.
We sit at desks and we speak on literary matters, but there are some who recline and just chat about the day to day, which we also do, but we do it at desks.
It's true. Hi, Duri.
Hi. I'm back at the desk.
No longer on the floor.
No longer on the floor.
If we didn't have the biggest books I own that
I
we had to
know.
hold, we could do it on the floor. Like it
We
wouldn't.
couldn't, yeah, it was too heavy.
Lot
This is not
40
the biggest. This is not the biggest book you own, and I know that for a fact.
It's not, but it's too big to hold like one handed above my head and like
Yeah, that's true.
make.
It's not nearly as
meaningful
bad as the
use of.
Tale of Genji was.
Ooh.
Patrick and I were hauling around that 1,000-page book for over a year.
And one of these days, we'll get through that last 250 pages.
It's not even 250 pages, Patrick. We're like so close to the end.
What's that?
This is Tom's Crossing by Mark Z. Danielewski, which is a little over 1,200 pages, and which is the biggest book I think that I currently have.
How big is? I've got that Septology Fosse book. That's big. I
That's a-
have that
that's a
in
big one. That's a
hardcover
big
though,
one.
so that makes
I
it
got
bigger.
Duck's Newburyport. That's big.
Yeah.
I've yet to read it. It just looks nice on my shelf. Makes me look intelligent.
When I was in middle school, I read a copy of The Lord of the Rings that was one volume, and I sprained my wrist and had to take a week off reading it because I couldn't lift it.
That's a very funny story.
It has an age rating, not for content reasons, but just for heft.
Yeah, it was like I think I'd already passed over, I think it was towards the end, and so all of the weight of the book was like on the sprained wrist. And I was like, I can't do it. I couldn't
That's
lift
rough.
it. It sat like to the left of where I like sat when I read, and I was like, I just can't figure out how to get into my lap.
Oh, should we go back into the pod?